So it's amazing. You're actually asking and answering all my questions before I even get to ask them. So one of my key questions is, do you have a team? Which obviously the answer is yes. And at what point did you decide to get that team? Was it strictly financial? Was it that you found yourself not painting as much as you wanted to? And which parts of the team did you add first?
All right, I'm gonna behave, and I'm gonna answer your questions very directly from now on. So I don't want to.
I like it. I like that you're getting ahead of me. It's good.
Yes, I have a small team, and I'm very lucky. I have a lot of people that are very supportive. What did I add first? So I have a girl that does, the invoicing for me and all the billing. That's the last thing I want. You have to think about, what is the first thing that you don't want? What's the last thing that you want to do? What's the first part that you want to cut out? What's your least favorite part? And
that's one of the most important lessons. As someone who used to work for me years ago, it's the ability to delegate and to realize what you're not great at and how to delegate that out quickly, because you doing it is even less valuable than someone else who's good at it doing it, right? Like, it's negative, not positive.
100%. And we have to think about that. And that's not an easy thing. And I think that's probably like top 2 or 3 like important things in all successful people through, no matter what the business is, the ability to like delegate, to build a team and delegate the responsibility and find the people and trust them, because it's not easy. It's hard.
So you put the bookkeeper up. Who is next?
Yes. Salespeople. I don't want to be the one closing the sale. It's not my thing. As a barber, I was never in sales. My brother is a salesman. He's great at it. That's what he does. I feel like you have that or you don't. It's not my thing. One thing I loved about cutting hair is that I did not have to be a salesman. People walk in the door. They know it. They know what they want. There's really nothing I can upsell you on. You come in, the price is on the wall. I'm not trying to close like a big deal. Right. It's very opaque, like transparent. And I want to remove myself. For years. I handled all of that. And people want to negotiate price and they don't want to pay the full price. And then you got to talk. And I don't want to do any of that. So I guess that would be the next thing.
Okay. So I'm going to stop you there, because by the way, I have the same. I'm a terrible closer. I'm an okay opener on 7 innings of the best middle relief you've ever seen. And I can't close to save my life. I'm going to follow up on this. So how did you go about finding salespeople, and what did you look for, and is that a full-time job? Is that someone who does it on the side? Do you get your inbounds and just forward it to them? What does that process look like?
So at first it was a very good friend of mine who was like in between jobs. He's actually the friend when I started painting 10 years ago. It's because I was at his house and he was painting. He had these tiny little canvases, super artistic, very good friend, one of my best friends since we were kids. Very artistic, plays the guitar, amazing, could paint, could draw, could dance. And he was working on these little paintings. And I said, that's so cool. And that's when I went 10 years ago. I got some paint and I started painting. So I guess about 3 or 4 years ago, he was in between jobs. I said, hey, dude, I could use a hand. Work with me in the meantime. So it was not a full-time thing. It was like an hourly rate for everything that he did, plus a small commission for anything that he closed. And he also is, as being a very talented artist in all of those mediums, he was a salesman, worked sales jobs for many years. So he's good at that. So that's what it was for years. He just recently worked with me until earlier this year. He took a full-time job, National Grid. So now it is somebody that it's a similar thing, but it's not a friend. And they work specifically in this space, selling art. They sell other people's art, not only my art.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's like an individual that reps a bunch of artists and sells their work.
Yes. Yeah. She has worked with galleries. She's worked in museums, and she's great. Working with her has been really good. And that's her specialty. It was great working with him, but if you could find people that's really their specialty, and again, you don't have access. Like in the beginning, you got to do it yourself, and then I guess that's like the natural progression. Doing it yourself, and then maybe finding someone else where they can do it, and then eventually you wanna have the best social media people in the world to just let them do their thing. You want to have the best gallery representation in the world, and you could, but you have there's steps to get there. But
they don't give those jobs out to everybody because
right.
There's a reason. But the controlling your own sales process and having your own salespeople, like even myself, God, would I love to hand that off to somebody.
Yeah.
I'm still in the phase of I'm still behind where you are. So I'm still trying to figure all those things out. And once again, have someone who you can hand that off to. It also, I think, gives the artist more of an allure, right? Oh, I'm not dealing with the 100%. Transaction. And it separates you from you, which lets the person be harder in price.
Yes.
Because there's not the emotional connection. You don't feel like you have to make the sale. There's none of that. So I think those are all like super positive. Congrats for making that happen.
Thank you. And I guess the biggest difference is she's also bringing people to the table, because you don't just want to hand it to anybody. And again, the steps, great. He was handling everything that came in. Yes, the email was him. It would on my website and on my Instagram page, the inquiry emails would go directly to him, or anybody, if they were to text me, or I would just hand it off to him, which I still do sometimes with her, but also she brings her own people. So that, I guess, is the biggest difference, because you also don't want to delegate and just hand unnecessary money to people if they're not bringing their value. So if she is also not only getting things that I hand to her, she has collectors that she works with. She has a mailing list and people that she reaches out to personally, collectors that she works very close with and knows their style, knows, oh, this person might like this piece, let me send this to them. And
it also can build your collector base and make because your collectors are obviously important. So the better the collector, the better you, like, it all goes.
Of course.
Where does most of your inbound traffic come from? Does it come from Instagram? Does it come from the website? Does it come from third party? Does it come from gallery? Like, where do you find, is it evenly spread?
I would say absolutely Instagram. Everybody talks shit about Instagram. I do myself too. I post sometimes about it. We all talk about how Instagram is horrible and it's toxic, and of course, all that stuff is true. So we saw The Social Dilemma, we saw it on Netflix, but it's a tool. And another thing is, people complain so much about their Instagram feed, but it's like the one source of media where we have not 100% control, and especially not now, the way the algorithm is and it pushes certain things, but we could control, like, I don't know, 85 to 90% of what we're taking in based on who we follow and the things that we like. And we'll still complain about it, but people will sit in front of a TV and where they have no control, their commercials that they get, it's all like pharmaceutical, drugs and car sales and all this bullshit. And they won't complain at all because they'll just accept that, but then they'll complain about social media. 100% social media has been, I should be getting paid by Instagram for defending them. Mark's got to cut the check. But it has 100% been the biggest tool for me to be able to make that step, from zero to a certain point. It could only bring you so far, because the goal is still making the right connections in the art world, proper gallery representation. But to build, to connect, of course, even the sweatshirts and stuff, the website, if I were just to sell things directly on the website without posting on Instagram, not many people are seeing it. The Instagram drives people to the website. Boom, the drop is happening today at 12 p.m. will be available from Instagram to the website. So I feel like, of course, it has its shitty sides, but it's a tool. And if you want it to be some kind of creative or build your own business or work for yourself, whatever it is, utilize it the best you can. Unfollow whoever or mute people that if you don't want to see their bullshit and you don't want it to be a negative thing. Look, I really follow other artists, creatives, family members that I keep, not immediate family members, but other ones where I can keep in touch with, where I otherwise wouldn't see what's going on in their life. And creatives and cool pages where I could seek inspiration and see what artists are doing and keep up. And that's it. And
Yeah, I'm also super positive on Instagram. It's helped me substantially more than it's ever hurt me.
Yeah.
Now, are you rep by the galleries you're rep by? Are they New York based, or do you have different ones in different geographic locales? And how did you go about, how did they find you or did you find them? What was your process?
I guess half and half. So I don't work exclusively with any galleries. They're all just pretty open. The furthest is in Dubai, Belvedere Art Space. Yeah, got that through a friend, through Flory, who I think He's been working with them for a while. He made the connection. They were interested in a collab piece that we did together. And then through there, I developed a relationship with them and have been working with them directly. They've been great just to get, I'm excited every time I'm able to send them out. I take the canvases off of the stretchers when I send it to them and roll it up and send, but every time I send it, I'm just excited because I would never be able to get my work in front of anyone's eyes on that side of the world through my Instagram or through any galleries here that I have. So that's always exciting. And that's definitely a goal, is to expand in other places, like into Europe, into Asia. I actually just got an email today from about a gallery representation in Asia. I haven't even responded to.
That's
so
awesome.
I'm prioritizing this podcast, Balls Podcast.
Let's go.
Over that. But so that's exciting.
It'll make you look coy and like you're so busy that you can't that you can't get to them.
Yeah. And then others reached out to me. Hayes Gallery in Greenwich, Connecticut reached out to me. Gallery 23, who I've done the 2 solo shows with here in New York this year and last year, reached out to me. And yeah, it's building up to that point. There are galleries now that I have my eyes on where I know that I can't only wait to see who's going to come to you, who's going to knock on your door. You have to be ready, and you have to feel confident when you approach, when you solicit, and you have to, know how to do it. And it's hard. It's intimidating. It's not easy. It's probably the hardest part of bridging that gap and getting to that next level. And of course, if there's a personal, somebody that knows somebody there, connection, that's the strongest, that's the best way to make it happen. If you have that, and if not, it's tough, but you got to ask them what their process is, what their artist submission process is, and follow it. Don't just walk in there with, hey, this is my artwork, and take a look at it. It could really rub them the wrong way if they're there at that moment to sell, not to be sold. So you ask them how somebody submits, and you go through.
Warm intro, and if not, just go through the process and let the work speak for itself.
Yeah, and being ready. There's galleries that I've been looking at for years where it's, damn, I would love to be in this gallery, but I just didn't feel that my work was ready. I felt like my work's not good enough yet. And I think you got to be real with yourself. And there's definitely a balance of being confident and believing in it, but also being real. And if you're a year or two in, and you got to know, is my work really as strong enough as everything else that's in this gallery? I love this gallery because of the work that they show, the artists that they show are experienced, decorated artists who have it down. Are my pieces at that level yet? Or am I just asking to be, is it unrealistic for me to ask? And if you're not there yet, then how are you going to get there? And that's just being in the studio, spending hours. And that's one thing I credit. I'm probably going to answer another question, but that's one thing I credit martial arts training through. So I train jiu-jitsu, which is another thing I'm very passionate about. And just seeing there's like just the hours in there that you go, show up, and it's easier to see, to materialize the progress and to see it like, wow, through the belts, and you get promotions with the belts, and just seeing where you stack up against the other people that are in there. And it's easy to see that growth is almost impossible not to happen if you put in the hours. And then you could apply that to other things. And I apply that to painting, just being in the studio more hours, putting in more hours. And since I could see it, it's so visible and it's so evident. The more hours I spend, when I go from that year where I'm bullshitting and I'm painting maybe 15 hours a week to the year when I'm like, all right, I got to be in the studio, I'm going to paint 40 hours a week now. That growth in that time, it's not about years that you paint, right? Because you could paint for 20 years, a few hours a day. But if you could do more actual hours in the studio in 2 years, if you're really in there, and the growth, it's about the hours in the studio, not about the time that passes in between jiu-jitsu.
By the way, it's good to know but you are correct. You now asked the hobbies question. But the idea of that, you're correct, which is the doing the work, right? If you do the work, you get results. You don't do the work, you get what you get. I want to circle back for a sec just because I'm really curious of how you did it. So when did you decide to make a toy? And what was the process to making a toy? Because I see more and more artists there's obviously big sculptures, and then there's like the kind of the toy market. I actually think the toy market's more compelling. How did you do it?
I have a big one coming, 48 inches. So it's going to be the same one.
Oh, that's big.
48. Not, you make things way bigger than that.
Yeah. What does that sell for? And how did you go about making it?
So this sells for $180.
Okay, so it's not expensive.
So with shipping, I would have loved to ask you,
Go
what would you
over
think?
that.
What would you think I would sell it at?
As your first store, I think that's a nice fair price. You'll sell a lot of them at that price, I would
With
think.
shipping and everything, like $200.
Yeah.
But to some people, they're like, a toy, $200 for toys.
No, but you have cause toys that are 5,000, but like it's.
But he, in his primary market, he's only at 200. I bought some recently. I have them on the shelf over there. If you could catch the primary market, it's hard. You got about a 4-minute window once he makes the drop. But if you could catch it on the primary market, $200. Resales is different.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize the originals were that cheap.
Yeah. For this size, for the small ones.
Oh, okay.